So UK is rioting. Jeez. And I love this is what they call them, the far right riots. I don't know. Well, I'm going to read this article and then we're going to kind of dissect this and we'll see what you think about this. This is Al Jazeera. I like to kind of pick, when I'm doing the articles, I like to kind of pick a wide sort of variety of different takes, different parts of the world, stuff like that, on things like this. So Al Jazeera comes up from time to time. I'm not sure what I think about them. Sometimes they're pretty on, sometimes they're a little off. So we'll see. So UK riots. Why are far right groups attacking immigrants and Muslims? At least they can all get that straight, that they're all like lock stock, with the fact that they're all far right groups, they call it. But anyways, as riots continue to rage in the UK, hotels housing asylum seekers have been torched by far right agitators. The Holiday Inn Express Hotel in Tamworth in North England was set alight. Rioters also gathered near the Holiday Inn Express Hotel used to house asylum seekers in Rotherham. Both incidents took place on Sunday. So if you know what's going on like that, it's the same thing's going on in Canada and the United States. Just don't hear about it as much in the United States anymore. But with with immigrants and asylum seekers and such, they're housing them in hotels. So they're doing that in Canada. I don't quote me on the number on this, but I read this the other day. I think it's to the tune of about $900,000 a day for these immigrants coming in, and they're putting them in these hotels. I think it's average of about $250 a night or something. This is taxpayer dollars. This is going to piss some people off, obviously, right? So when they say far right agitators and such, I think it's not just them. They're just the ones that are maybe, the ones that are out there doing all the activism, if you will. But other people are pretty upset about this kind of stuff, myself included. But anyways, this is the best way to get the most clicks on your story, I guess. But here we go. Let's read some more. Protests led by far right groups, I love it, they just keep putting in there, right, have escalated into clashes with police in multiple towns as a wave of unrest fueled by xenophobia and misinformation surrounding the tragic killing of 3 young girls in a stabbing incident sweeps across the country. About 400 people have been arrested. So I don't know if you know about this. There was was it a Taylor Swift concert or something like that? I can't remember. It was that concert or something where these 3 young girls were stabbed by what they thought was an immigrant, but apparently this immigrant was born in the UK, so is not actually an immigrant. So that's what they're talking about, the misinformation. Again, what do you believe? I don't know. So that's what I read. So that's what I'm just going to go with for now until I vet more information and find out something different. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, either directly or those whipping up this disorder online, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said in a televised address on Sunday. He has cast the riots as organized illegal thuggery by a minority of Britons. In the grips of a 6th day of violence, Downing Street held a cabinet office briefing room emergency meeting. Here's what you should know. What led to this moment? Last week, it was a Taylor Swift themed dance. During a Taylor Swift themed dance and yoga workshop at a community center in Southport, England. So I was kind of on but off. 3 young girls were stabbed to death by 17-year-old suspect Axel Rudakabana. He was born in Cardiff, the Welsh capital, reportedly to Christian Rwandan parents. False information on social media claimed the suspect was a Muslim immigrant. Those rioting are vocal about their hatred of immigrants, but there is also a sense of underlying xenophobia against minority communities in the UK, especially Muslims, said analysts. Rosa Friedman, a professor at the University of Reading, told Al Jazeera that the riots were a result of the former conservative government's complicity with such racist far-right groups. This is the division they stoke. Fuck you. I love these idiots that do that. Oh, okay, that's what it was. It's not just people who are getting tired of certain shit that keeps going on, and then they just find nobody's doing anything about it, so they get militaristic and they start doing some shit. I'm not condoning the actions of that. I'm not a rioter or one to get up at arms, but I can understand the sentiment of being irritated by the fact that immigration is gone rampant in these countries I mentioned, Canada, UK, US. So it pisses people off. It turns them a bit radical, right? So, but they act like it's the government's complicity. Like, shut up. Instead of hiding their faces, they have now been coming out. We cannot blame a Labour Party that has only been in government for the past 4 weeks. Meanwhile, agitators like Tommy Robinson are stoking tensions. Born Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon, the far-right activist and co-founder of the English Defence League, has been busy posting inflammatory video rants to his 800,000 followers on X, decrying Muslims, migrants, and the political establishment and police. He's posting from afar, reportedly in Cyprus. A High Court judge issued an arrest warrant for Robinson after he failed to appear at the Royal Courts of Justice on Monday for a hearing in contempt of libel court case he lost against Syrian refugee Jamal Hijazi. I don't know anything about this dude, but okay. So the riots are all over the place, whatever. What was the government said? So Prime Minister Starmer said he utterly condemns far-right thuggery. Okay. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, why did I have a hard time reading that name for a second, stated in a recent interview with Sky News there will be people who were thinking they were going on their summer holidays this week, and instead they will face a knock on the door from the police. Nigel Farage, the anti-immigration leader of the populist movement Reform UK, who is now a sitting MP, has stoked tensions. In May, he suggested Muslims do not share British values. What you've seen on the streets of Hartlepool, London, or Southport is nothing compared to what could happen over the course of the next few weeks. He also justified the riots. The far right are a reaction to fear, to discomfort, to unease that is out there, shared by tens of millions of people, he said. Kind of like what I just said. So, there is there's a common sense to that. You can understand that people rise up when they're pissed off about things. So if you see something that is, that's going wrong, like immigration policies, and it's starting to get civil unrest, naturally what you should do is try and do something about that, but that's not how the government works anymore. What's next? Police and officials are telling the public that perpetrators of violence and abuse will be punished. Oh, okay. Thanks, Tips. Meanwhile, ethnic minority and migrant communities are becoming more fearful. In a recent news conference, South Yorkshire's Police Assistant Chief Constable Lindsay Butterfield stated, "If you were there, we will find you and you will be held accountable for yesterday's violence." Okay, anyways, that's a little more nonsense at the end. That article was kind of fluffy and stupid, but yeah. I mean, the rhetoric is there. They're just going to keep saying far-right activists, which, fine, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to keep saying. If you read any article about it, it's all saying that. They just deflect from what the actual problem is, and people are just getting pretty upset about immigration policies, and they need to kind of change. But whatever. I don't see these UK riots kind of going anywhere in the next little bit. I think you're going to see it. The unrest for the next couple of weeks, and then it'll kind of be like what happened in the States in May and June of 2020. It'll be the same thing, like a month, 2 months of bullshit, and then it'll kind of quell, I think.